Judica County is brought to you by Whitaker and Hamer, attorneys and counselors at law, your law firm for life.
Welcome back into Judica County Radio. Your hosts are Josh Whitaker and Joe Hamer. They're the managing partners, practicing attorneys here in North Carolina. Whitaker and Hamer Law Firm is where you can find them, your law firm for life. Office is located Raleigh, Garner, Clayton, Goldsboro, Fuquay, Varina, Gastonia, and in Morehead City. I'm Morgan Patrick, consumer advocate. If you've got any questions you're facing legally and you need some answers, you can always call Whitaker and Hamer, 800-659-1186. That's 800-659-1186, or email your questions to the show, info@judicacounty.com. Question and answer program. Josh, where are we going?
All right. Well, we warmed up, so we got some questions. Here is the first question I have today. It comes from, this is a Reddit forum that I pulled these from today. This is a Reddit forum where people go in to ask for legal advice, and I like these questions because these are, again, just everyday regular people just posing these questions, trying to get some answers. All these people should probably call an attorney if we're, But anyway, this is the first question I got. It goes, do LLCs provide any real protections? This guy goes on to say, seems like a waste of time. So do LLCs provide any real protections? And so I don't know where this guy lives. I'm going to assume the question asker resides in North Carolina. And Joseph, what would you say to that question? Do LLCs provide any real protection?
Yeah, man.
Just a yes, period.
Yeah, that's what I'd say. Yeah, man. Generally speaking, yes, they do. That being said, there are, you've got to do certain things the right way. You have to structure your LLC appropriately. And in the event that you don't do that, yes, there are means by which any business entity, can be sued. And, assuming you don't do things the right way, then there's a legal mechanism which we call piercing the corporate veil, by which someone can come at someone individually, basically strip away all the protection that LLC would provide, and go after the individual as opposed to the LLC.
Yeah, and there's a lot of reasons. This guy goes on to say, basically, it seems like there's a lot of rules and restrictions, and aren't they just going to sue you anyway? And Joe's answer was a good one.
A great one.
You enter an LLC so you're transacting business, and you want to do it in a business's name to limit your liability. And so your liability, as long as you're doing everything that you're supposed to do, will be limited. So what the law school example is always selling widgets. You're making widgets, selling widgets. I don't know how widgets became the fictional product.
That's what y'all did in law school?
Widgets. Like the Jetsons.
Yeah, we did too, man, actually.
Yeah, I was like, what else did you?
I went to the same law school as you. I don't think they made a lot of updates to their hypotheticals in the time between us.
So you've decided you want to sell these widgets. There's nothing stopping you from selling widgets in your personal name, but you may have decided that, hey, I've got some risk here. I'm going to form an LLC, and I'm going to sell these widgets as Widgets for All LLC. And in that way, as long as you've got insurance properly and you've set up your LLC as being separate from you, meaning it has its own bank accounts, it pays its own bills, and you've got proper insurance in place, then you're protected. If one of your widgets explodes and someone sues you under product liability, and as long as you've done everything right, you've got insurance in place, you're gonna be fine. But if you commit fraud, or you do something like that, an LLC is not going to protect you. You can't form an LLC, go out and commit fraud, and get LLC protections. So it doesn't shield you from bad activity, but used correctly, it will shield you from liability. And that way, if someone sues you, they can get to the assets of the LLC, the insurance of the LLC, but they're not getting to your house. They're not getting to your personal bank account. They're not getting your car. You're going to be protected. Depending on what the lawsuit is, your LLC could file bankruptcy. It's a lot of protection, and maybe not everybody needs it, but if you have risk, you very well may need it. But so we disagree with that guy.
Yeah, if you do it the right way, you're good, man. And just to elaborate further on what you're saying, the corporate veil can be pierced, but the courts are reluctant to do that. Like, that's not something that they're coming out and they're just doing it willy-nilly, right? Like, there is an interest, the public has an interest in a sham LLC that's basically just an individual who's not doing things the right way. And like you said, if they're trying to do it for a fraudulent purpose, there are circumstances where that veil will be pierced, but they're reluctant to do it. So you do things the right way. You set up your company correctly. You keep books and records correctly. You do things appropriately, and you're going to get a remarkable degree of protection. So yeah, I disagree with that guy.
Yes, LLCs are definitely worth it. If you're, yeah, okay, we disagree with that guy.
Yeah,
I'm going to move on from his question to our next question.
What kind of question was that?
All right, this next question, they're basically they're saying here they've pulled up their deed. So this is a real property owner. This is someone that bought a house. They have a deed where they got title to real property. They're looking at it, trying to figure out if they have an easement to access a public road. So I'm going to assume they live off a private roadway out in the country. They don't. They're not right there on the highway. So they're looking at their deed and they're saying, we have no easement language in our deed. Do we have access? That's their question. And obviously we can't figure that out without a title search, which we're not going to do on this property that we don't know if it exists or not. But you can still have an easement even if the language is not in your deed technically.
That is correct.
Right. So
that is correct.
So if you live like off a private road that has 4 or 5 folks on it, in theory, you guys would all have an easement. In theory, that would be shown on a plat somewhere, which your deed would reference, and that's a way to get access on that easement. You can have a separate document, so you could get your deed and you could get your easement later. You could buy some property with the hopes I had a client do that not too long ago. He got a good deal on some landlocked property. Landlocked meaning it didn't have access. You needed to cross over someone else's private property to get there.
Some hot deals on those properties, man.
Yeah, so landlocked property, unless you already own property that abuts it, landlocked property is hard to move in the real estate world because how are you going to get to it?
Yeah, you just
right. And so
who doesn't want to own some dirt that's just isolated that you can never touch?
Yeah, so he got a good deal. Then he brokered a purchase where he purchased, an easement and got access, and he did really good for himself. So here they're afraid they're landlocked because they don't see easement language on their deed. And easement language would be what's a good example of easement language, Joseph?
Conveying all of that 30-foot access easement that shall be appurtenant to and run with the property in perpetuity.
So they're saying they don't have anything like that. That's fine. If the plat, maybe they reference a plat, being all of lot 2 on plat, 1989 at page 70. And if you go to that plat, it shows this easement. It can show access, and you can get insurable access that way. And so there is, it doesn't look good for this guy. This certainly is a bad sign that your deed doesn't have that, but he may not be out of the woods yet.
That's what I was going to say. Ideally, you've got access language explicitly stated in your deed. That's what we'd be looking for. If we're preparing a new deed to this person, we're plugging that access language is going to be there. But that doesn't necessarily. That's not the end of the conversation. If it's not there, that doesn't mean that you're out of luck. There's other things that could save you. But yeah, be concerned. That's probably like a 6.5 out of 10 on the be concerned scale. Yeah, maybe a 7.
Yeah, you're getting up there. But he needs to pay this person. In theory, an attorney did a title search when he bought the property, right? That's the
theory.
That's the hope, is an attorney reviewed.
Or he
that
just went on Reddit and posted, someone draft me a deed.
But hopefully this guy had a title search, and you can go back to his closing attorney and be like, hey, this has come up. What's the deal? Did you see this? But so far, not too good for this guy.
Judica County Radio, Josh Whitaker, Joe Hamer, managing partners, Whitaker and Hamer Law Firm. They're practicing attorneys here in North Carolina. We get into legal conversations each and every week here on the program. You're going to have questions possibly about something that you're going through and you need some answers. You can always call Whitaker and Hamer, 800-659-1186. That's 800-659-1186. Leave your contact information, briefly what the call is about, and an attorney with Whitaker and Hamer will be in touch. And you can email your questions to the show. We'll answer them on a future broadcast. info@judicacounty.com. That's info@judicacounty.com. We're going to be right back right after this, and we're going to talk more about real estate, question and answer. It's all coming up on Judica County Radio.